What if I told you that one of the most successful women in entertainment history was born in a one-room cabin with no electricity, no running water, and 11 brothers and sisters? What if I told you that the little girl who once wore clothes stitched from scraps will grow up to be a billionaire? And what if I told you that after all the fame, fortune, awards, and worldwide success, the biggest mystery in Dolly Parton's life is still unsolved? This is not just the story of a country singer. This is the story of a woman who turned hardship into harmony, rejection into resilience, and dreams into a dynasty. This is Dolly Parton. Long before the rhinestones, before the wigs, before the sold-out arenas, there was a girl in the hills of Tennessee. Born on January 19, 1946, Dolly Rebecca Parton arrived in a family so poor that her father reportedly paid the doctor who delivered her with a sack of cornmeal. For many children, poverty becomes a prison, but for Dolly, it became a story. A story she would tell the world through songs. She grew up surrounded by love, music, and faith. The family had little money, but they had stories, and Dolly was listening, always listening. Even then, she knew she was different. While other children dreamed of leaving school early, Dolly dreamed of standing on the bright lights. While others saw mountains, she saw horizons. At an age when most children are still discovering themselves, Dolly had already discovered her purpose. By 10 years old, she was singing on local radio. At 13, she performed on grand stages. And the day after graduating high school, she packed her bags and headed to Nashville. No backup plan, no safety net, just belief. And sometimes, belief is enough. The city was full of dreamers, but there was something different about Dolly. She wasn't waiting for someone to discover her. She was determined to become impossible to ignore. In 1967, country music star Porter Wagoner gave Dolly her big break. Together they became one of country music's most beloved duos. The chemistry was electric. The ratings soared. The audience fell in love. But every great partnership eventually reaches a crossroads. Because Dolly wasn't born to stand beside greatness, she was born to become it. As her popularity exploded, tensions grew. She wanted independence. Porter wanted the partnership to continue. The separation became one of country music's most emotional breakups. And then, Dolly did what only Dolly could do. She turned heartbreak into a masterpiece. The song, I Will Always Love You, not a romantic farewell, a professional goodbye, a thank you, a love letter to a chapter ending. Ironically, that goodbye became one of the greatest songs ever written. Then came the hits, and then more hits, and then more. Jolene, Coats of Many Colors, 9 to 5, I Will Always Love You. Dolly wasn't just making music. She was creating cultural landmarks, and somehow she made it look effortless. But behind the smile was a fierce business mind, a woman who understood contracts, ownership, publishing rights, power. In an industry where many artists lost control of their work, Dolly fought to keep hers. And that decision changed everything. Because when Whitney Houston recorded I'll Always Love You for The Bodyguard, the song exploded worldwide. Millions cried, millions sang along, and Dolly's songwriting became legendary. One decision, one song, one moment that cemented her place in history. But fame has a shadow, and Dolly Parton has never escaped it. Over the years, there were rumors, stories, speculation, questions about her appearance, questions about her marriage, questions about her friendships, questions about whether the Dolly the world saw was the real Dolly. The tabloids chased scandal, the public chased answers, and Dolly, she smiled, made a joke, and kept moving. Perhaps that's her greatest talent, not singing, not songwriting, not acting, but understanding that mystery can be more powerful than explanation. Even today, after decades in the spotlight, Dolly remains one of entertainment's greatest enigmas. We know her, yet somehow we don't. Then there's Carl Dean, the husband the world almost never sees. For decades, while Dolly stood under stadium lights, Carl stayed out of it. No red carpets, no interviews, no publicity tours, nothing. And somehow, against all odds, their marriage survived. Hollywood couldn't understand it. Fans couldn't explain it. But maybe that's the secret. One lived for the spotlight, the other protected the shadows. Together, they found balance. And in a world where celebrity relationships often burn bright and disappear quickly, theirs endured. Most stars build careers. Dolly built a kingdom. Dolly transformed her hometown into a destination. Millions visit every year. Families laugh. Children play. Dreams are made. But her greatest achievement may not be found inside a theme park or on a stage or in a trophy cabinet. It may be found inside a child's bedroom. Remember that little girl from the mountains? The one who loved stories. She never forgot. Through our imagination library, Dolly has given away hundreds of millions of books to children around the world. Think about it. Millions of young minds, millions of dreams, millions of futures touched by one woman. And when the world faced the uncertainty of pandemic, she quietly donated $1 million to medical research. No publicity stunt, no grand announcement, just action. Because that's who Dolly has always been. A performer on stage, a giver behind the scenes. So what is the secret? How does a girl born in poverty become a global icon? How does someone stay relevant for over 6 decades? How does someone become beloved by generations who weren't even born when her first songs were released? Maybe it's because Dolly Parton never tried to be perfect. She embraced her flaws. She laughed at herself before anyone else could. She stayed connected to her roots. And no matter how high she climbed, she never forgot where she started. The mountains never left her. They simply rose with her. Awards can be counted. Records can be broken. Fortunes can be measured. But influence is different. Influence lives in songs sung by strangers, in dreamers refusing to quit, in ordinary people believing extraordinary things are possible. Dolly Parton is not just a singer, not just an actress, not just a businesswoman. She is proof that where you begin does not determine where you end. And somewhere tonight, another little girl with a big dream is looking at the stars and seeing Dolly.